What kind of love demands you breathe its lies as truth? Amara Okafor wouldn't ask herself that question until she sat alone in a cell with nothing but time and shadows. But the answer began forming on a different night in a penthouse office in Seoul, rain hammering the glass like angry fists trying to break through. $8 million vanished. Minji's voice carried no emotion, like he was reading tomorrow's weather forecast. Amara stood near the window holding his untouched tea, her brown eyes searching his face for cracks in the mask. The man she'd given 3 years to, the man whose empire ran on fear and whispers, suddenly looked fragile. Welcome back, friends. This is Prince of Afro-Korean stories, where passion, danger, and impossible romance intersect. Please keep sharing your ideas for future episodes. And kindly like, share, and subscribe, and activate notifications so you never miss our latest content. What do you mean vanished? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. He was gripping his phone so tightly she worried it might shatter. What do you mean the account's frozen? He barked in English, his accent thick with fury. You guaranteed this was untraceable. Amara felt her stomach drop. She knew what $8 million meant in his world. It wasn't just money. It was armor. Protection. The only thing keeping wolves from tearing him apart. He threw the phone onto his desk. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Minjae, Amara said softly, moving toward him. We'll figure this out. We always do. This isn't some street deal gone wrong, Amara. His laugh was hollow, bitter. That money was holding back people who want me dead. She touched his shoulder carefully. Then we face them. You're not alone in this. He turned to her then, and for just a second, the ice melted. He looked terrified. Young. Lost. I'm trapped, he whispered. Amara cupped his face in both hands. Not while I'm here. He leaned into her touch, closing his eyes. You're the only thing keeping me human, he murmured. If I lose you too. You won't, she promised. I'm not going anywhere. His phone buzzed again. His jaw clenched as he read the message. They know, he said. The investors. The families. Everyone. He grabbed his car keys from the desk. Where are you going? Amara asked, alarm creeping into her voice. I need to drive. I need to think. Let me come with you, she said quickly. He hesitated, then nodded once. Get your coat. They descended in the private elevator, emerging into the underground garage where rain echoed off concrete like distant drums. His black Mercedes waited, sleek and expensive and cold. Maybe I should drive, Amara suggested gently. You're upset. I'm fine, he said, though his hands were shaking. Get in. She did, buckling herself into the passenger seat as he started the engine. The city blurred past them, lights smearing across wet glass. They drove in heavy silence. The only sound was rain and tires against slick pavement. Tell me I didn't cause this, he said suddenly. Amara looked at him. Minjae. Tell me everything's going to be okay like you always do. She reached for his hand on the gear shift. Everything will be okay. You're smart. You'll rebuild. I have enemies, he cut in. They'll come for me. For us. Then we face them together, Amara said firmly. His eyes left the road for just a heartbeat, settling on her with something that looked almost like love. You really mean that? Yes, she said. Whatever happens, I'm with you. The words were still hanging between them when the traffic light ahead turned yellow, then red. Minjae didn't slow down. Min-jae, the light, Amara said, her voice rising. But his mind was somewhere else, drowning in numbers and threats and fear. The car shot forward. Then Amara saw her. A woman with an umbrella, one hand resting protectively on her swollen belly, stepping off the curb. Min-jae, stop! Amara screamed, pointing. His eyes snapped back. The brakes shrieked. The world became nothing but sound and terror and the sickening crunch of metal against bone. Amara's last clear thought before impact was simple and sharp: "You promised I wouldn't lose you." The front of the Mercedes crumpled like paper. The umbrella spun through the air, landing twisted on the wet asphalt. The pregnant woman lay several meters away, her body bent in ways that made Amara's stomach turn. Everything went silent. Then Amara heard her own breathing, fast and ragged and too loud. "Min-jae," she whispered. He stared through the shattered windshield, hands frozen on the wheel. All color had drained from his face. "Did I?" His voice was barely there. Amara forced herself to move. Her hands trembled as she unbuckled her seatbelt. She stumbled out into the rain, her shoes slipping on wet pavement. "Miss," she called, dropping to her knees beside the woman. "Miss, can you hear me?" No answer. Blood mixed with rainwater, spreading in thin red rivers. "Call an ambulance," Amara shouted. She looked back at the car. Min-jae still hadn't moved. "Min-jae, call for help." Her fingers pressed against the woman's neck, searching for a pulse. Nothing. Her eyes stared at nothing. A baby. There was a baby inside her. Amara felt bile rise in her throat. In the distance, someone yelled. "I'm calling the police." "Don't move." Sirens wailed, far away but getting closer. Amara stood on shaking legs. She turned to Min-jae just as his door opened. He stepped out slowly, like a man waking from a nightmare. "I didn't see her," he murmured. "Min-jae, we have to tell them it was an accident," Amara said, grabbing his arm. "We'll explain everything. They'll understand." "Accident," he repeated, like the word was foreign. His eyes weren't soft anymore. They were wild. Cornered. "They'll investigate," he whispered. "They'll dig into my records, my accounts, my business. If they find out who I am, what I do, I'm finished. Everything I've built will collapse." Amara's grip tightened on his sleeve. "But we didn't mean to." "I was driving," he said, his chest heaving. "Do you understand? I killed a pregnant woman. They'll dig until they find everything. Every deal. Every connection. Every secret." He grabbed her face suddenly, his wet hands cold against her skin. "Amara, listen to me," he said urgently. "If I go down, everyone goes down. My entire network. The families who depend on me. You. Everything." Her heart pounded so hard it hurt. The red and blue lights grew brighter as police cars turned the corner. "Min-jae, what are you saying?" "Say you were driving," he said quickly. "Tell them it was you." Her eyes widened. "What? You don't have a criminal record. You're not on any police radar. You're a foreigner. You weren't drinking. They'll call it reckless driving. I'll hire the best lawyers. I'll get you out fast. I swear to you, Amara, I will fix this." "Min-jae, I can't." He shook her slightly, desperation flooding his face. "Amara, if they know it was me, I'm dead. Not just prison. People will kill me. You said you'd stand with me no matter what. This is that moment. Her throat closed. The woman's body lay behind them. The sirens screamed closer. People were gathering, phones out, recording. Do you love me? He asked, voice breaking. She stared at him. This man she'd cooked for, comforted, protected, loved. Yes, she whispered. Then save me, he said. The police arrived. Doors slammed. Boots hit pavement. Flashlights swept across them. Hands where we can see them, an officer shouted in Korean. Min-jae let go of her face and stepped back, raising his hands. Amara's legs felt like water. Her mind screamed at her to tell the truth. I wasn't driving. It was him. Just say it. But when the officer approached and asked in broken English who was driving the vehicle, Amara heard Min-jae's voice echo in her head. You said you'd stand with me. No matter what. She swallowed hard. It was me, Amara said. The handcuffs were freezing around her wrists. The metal dug into her skin as they led her away. She turned her head back. Min-jae stood by the car, watching. Their eyes met. She wanted to see fear. Guilt. Love. Regret. All she saw was relief. And somewhere deep in her chest, something cracked. How long does it take for love to turn rotten? Amara learned the answer in the interrogation room. 19 minutes. The metal chair was cold beneath her. The walls smelled like rust and despair. A single bulb buzzed overhead, casting harsh white light that made every feature on her face look guilty. An officer sat across from her, tapping his pen against a folder. State your name. Amara Okafor, she said, her voice shaking. He raised an eyebrow. You're not Korean. No. I work here. I live here. He nodded slowly. And you confirm again that you were the one driving the vehicle? Her mouth felt like sand. Her throat burned. She looked at her hands trembling on the table. She looked at the door, locked tight. Min-jae's voice echoed in her mind. If they dig into me, I'm finished. You said you'd stand with me. Say it was you. Amara lifted her chin. Yes, she whispered. I was driving. The officer studied her with sharp eyes. Too sharp. You don't look like someone who was behind the wheel, he said calmly. No airbag burns. No bruises from the seatbelt. No head injury. Amara's stomach twisted. She forced herself to lie again. The airbag didn't deploy properly, she said weakly. I turned my head before impact. You turned your head during a crash, he asked. Amara blinked rapidly. Yes. He leaned forward. Why? A long, heavy pause. She whispered the first thing that came to mind. Instinct. The officer sighed like he'd heard better lies from children. Amara, listen to me. If you're protecting someone. I'm not, she cut in quickly. It was me. The officer watched her closely, trying to peel her open with his gaze. Do you understand the woman you killed was 7 months pregnant? He asked. Amara's breath hitched. Her heart clenched painfully. Yes, she whispered, tears filling her eyes. I'm sorry. I didn't see her. Her lie became a confession of guilt she didn't deserve. You know the penalty for reckless homicide in Korea, the officer said. She shook her head. Prison, he said simply. Years of it. A tear rolled down her cheek. Min-jae said he would come. Min-jae said he would fix everything. Min-jae said he loved her. She held on to those words like someone holds on to fire, desperate even though it burns. "Please sign here," the officer said, sliding a form toward her. Her hand trembled violently. She hesitated. Amara looked at the door again. "He'll come," he promised. She signed. In the courtroom weeks later, Amara sat in a beige prison uniform, wrists cuffed. She searched the crowd for Min-jae's face. He was there at the back in a gray suit, expressionless. Their eyes met, or rather, Amara tried to meet his. He looked away. Her heart sank. The judge read out the charge. Reckless driving causing death. 5 years imprisonment. A gasp rippled through the courtroom. Amara didn't cry. She didn't move. She didn't breathe. She only thought, 5 years for a lie. As they led her out, she turned back for one last look. One last chance for Min-jae to show he cared, to show regret, to show anything. But Min-jae stood stone still and did nothing. His silence answered every question her heart refused to ask. Prison wasn't loud. Prison was quiet. Too quiet. Quiet enough to hear your regrets whisper your name in the dark. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into years. No letters. No calls. No visits. One day, another inmate showed her a newspaper. There was a photo of Min-jae, smiling, his arm around a woman's waist. A new girlfriend. Amara stared at the picture until her vision blurred. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She simply folded the page and lay down on her bunk. Something inside her died that day. Something else was born. Not rage. Not revenge. Not yet. Determination. She would survive. Without him. Without anyone. Love was a lie. But survival? Survival was real. What is freedom worth when the world has already buried you alive? Amara learned the answer the moment she stepped out of Seoul Women's Correctional Facility. The air was cold, brutally cold. It cut against her skin like tiny blades as if punishing her for daring to breathe again. She stood by the gate with a small plastic bag. One faded sweater. 2 pairs of socks. A comb. The shoes she'd worn the night of the accident. The sky was gray. The clouds hung low, refusing to welcome her back. A guard shut the gate behind her with a heavy clang. Just like that, she was alone. Her chest tightened. She looked around. No one waited for her. No car. No friend. No Min-jae. 5 years ago, she'd walked in with a promise. I'll get you out. I'll fix everything. I love you. Today, she walked out with nothing. She swallowed hard and began walking toward the bus stop. Each step felt strange, like she was learning how to walk again. People stared at her. Some with confusion. Others with quiet suspicion. A woman whispered to her friend, "That's her. The foreign girl who killed the pregnant woman." Amara lowered her head and tightened her grip on the bag. She boarded the bus. A man beside her shifted away as if crime were contagious. She stared out the window. Seoul looked the same. Tall buildings. Busy roads. Moving crowds. But she felt like a ghost moving through a world that no longer knew her name. When she arrived at her old neighborhood, she stood frozen. Every memory of Min-jae passed through her like needles. Him holding her. feeding her late at night, whispering promises of forever, telling her she was his only softness in a cruel world. She walked to her old apartment building anyway. The keypad beeped with a red light. Her code no longer worked. She tried again. Red. Someone inside opened the door slightly, peering out. "Oh, it's her," the woman muttered, then shut the door quickly. Amara stepped back. For the first time since leaving prison, she felt tears sting her eyes. "You really erased me, Min-jae," she whispered to herself. Her stomach growled painfully. She walked to a convenience store. Inside, the cashier glanced at her oddly. "Do you have money?" he asked before she even picked anything. Amara opened her plastic bag and pulled out a few coins. "Just bread, please." He bagged it silently. No smile. Outside, she sat on the curb and ate slowly. The bread was dry. The world felt dry. Her heart felt worse. She needed a job. She needed a place to sleep. She needed a name people wouldn't spit on. She found a small public bathroom, splashed her face with cold water, and stared at her reflection. The woman looking back at her looked older, thinner, harder. Prison had carved her into something sharp. "You don't get to break again," she whispered. Then a thought crept into her mind. If Amara Okafor couldn't survive in Seoul, someone else could. She wiped her face, stood straight, and made a decision that would rewrite everything. "From now on," she whispered, "my name is Park Jae-won." She practiced the name again, slower this time. Park Jae-won. Simple. Korean. Unremarkable. A name no one would question. A name that didn't carry blood on it. That night, she slept in a tiny, cheap hostel room with peeling wallpaper. The bed smelled old, but she lay there with a sense of purpose she hadn't felt in years. Tomorrow, she would start again. Tomorrow, she would try to be someone new. Tomorrow, she would live. She didn't know that the next morning at a quiet cafe in Hongdae, a man named Taejun would walk in and accidentally leave his phone behind. And that moment would change her life more than the accident ever had. Amara, now living under the name Park Jae-won, sat in a small cafe in Hongdae the next morning, sipping the cheapest coffee on the menu. The warmth helped calm the cold in her bones. The smell of roasted beans filled the air, comforting in a way she didn't expect. She held a tiny notebook, practicing her new name in slow, careful strokes. Park Jae-won. A woman with no past. A woman no one knew. A woman no one could hurt. "I can do this," she told herself. The cafe door chimed. A tall man walked inside. He looked calm, dangerously calm. Dark hair swept back. A black coat that looked expensive but understated. He moved quietly, yet every eye turned when he passed. There was something cold about him, like winter wrapped in human form. But when he spoke to the barista, his voice was low and smooth, warm like honey. "Americano, no sugar," he said. Amara looked up once, then dropped her gaze again. She was trying to stay invisible. Trying to be ordinary. Trying to breathe. But fate was impatient. If this hooked you already, don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop a comment because what happens next will absolutely shatter your expectations. When the man sat at the table beside her, his phone slipped from his coat pocket and landed on the chair. Amara saw it. Hesitated. Then picked it up. She froze. Should I return it now? Wait? Hand it to the staff? What if he thinks I'm stealing? Fear and caution built a cage around her. By the time she decided, he was already walking out the door, phone pressed to his ear with a second device. Amara swallowed, clutching the phone. You can't get in trouble. Not again. She unlocked it carefully. The home screen showed a business contact card. Choi Tae-jun, CEO, Horizon Dynamics, plus a phone number. CEO. Her heart dropped. This man was rich. Important. Possibly dangerous. Still, she had to return it. She stepped outside, but he was gone. Amara inhaled deeply, dialed the number on the contact card from a payphone, and waited. Hello. His voice was even smoother over the phone. She stiffened. Hello, sir. You left your phone at the cafe. I wanted to return it. There was a pause. His voice lowered slightly. Who am I speaking with? Amara almost said Amara. Almost said Park Jae-won. Instead, fear made her choose a name she thought sounded safe. This is Lee Sora, she lied. Lee Sora, he repeated slowly, savoring the sound. Your accent. It's different. Her heart pounded. Ah, yes. I grew up abroad. That explains it, he said warmly. Your voice. It's beautiful. Amara blinked, caught off guard. Oh. Thank you. Where can I meet you? He asked. Hongdae. The cafe near the university, she said. I'll be here tomorrow evening. He hung up gently, like someone closing a book. Amara stared at the phone for several seconds. Beautiful voice. Someone had said that about her. Someone who didn't know she was a criminal. Someone who didn't know her real story. A small, fragile warmth stirred in her chest. The next evening, Tae-jun returned. He stepped inside the cafe with silent confidence, scanning the room until his gaze landed on her. The moment their eyes met, something electric passed between them. You must be Lee Sora, he said with a faint smile. Amara nodded and handed him the phone. You forgot it. Tae-jun took it, but his eyes remained on hers. You didn't take anything, he said quietly. Most people would. I'm not most people, Amara replied softly. I can see that, he said. They walked outside together. The wind was cold, brushing their faces. If you need anything, he said, a job, help, safety, tell me. I don't know why, but I'd like to be someone you can rely on. Amara's heart jumped unexpectedly. No one had said that to her in years. Thank you, she whispered. He took a step closer, not threatening, but curious. His voice dropped. What's your biggest regret, Sora? Amara looked away, her throat tightening. Trusting the wrong man, she said. And paying for his sins. Tae-jun's jaw tightened. He wasn't looking at her like a stranger anymore. He was looking at her like someone he wanted to protect. Tell me who hurt you, he said softly. I'll make sure he never hurts you again. Amara hesitated. But for the first time since the accident, she felt safe. She looked up, meeting his dark eyes. His name was Min-jae, she whispered. And he ruined my life. Tae-jun's gaze hardened. Then I'll ruin his, he said. Amara exhaled shakily. Something had just begun. Something dangerous. Something powerful. Something she couldn't stop even if she wanted to. She didn't know it yet. But this man would become the greatest love of her life. How close must two hearts grow before secrets begin to tremble? For Amara and Tae-jun, it started with small steps. Quiet dinners. Shared walks. Gentle silences. But day by day, the space between them shrank, drawing them towards something neither planned yet both feared. Amara began working evenings at a small family restaurant. Washing dishes. Serving tables. Cleaning floors. It wasn't glamorous, but it kept her invisible. Except to one man. Every night, without fail, Taejun walked in. "Sora," he would say with a calm smile that warmed her in places she thought were frozen forever. "I've been looking for you." His presence softened the air around her. The staff whispered about him. Is he her boyfriend? He looks dangerous. He looks rich. He looks interested. Amara tried to ignore the whispers, but her heart betrayed her every time. She'd feel it skip. Feel it ache. Feel it crave the voice that said her name like it mattered. One quiet night after closing, he walked her home as usual. The street lamps glowed softly, painting their shadows long on the pavement. He kept his hands in his pockets, but Amara could feel his attention on her like heat. "Sora," he said gently. "What's the one thing you regret every day?" Amara stopped walking. The question sliced through her like a blade. Clean. Deep. Merciless. She looked at the ground, swallowing hard. Believing a man's love was more important than my life. Taejun's step slowed. "This is about Min-jae, isn't it?" Her chest tightened. "He said he loved me. But he used me. And when he was done, he left me to die alone." Taejun's voice dropped, dark and controlled. "Tell me what he did." Amara took a shaky breath. She told him everything. The crash. The lie. The handcuffs. The 5 years. The silence. The new girlfriend. The world rejecting her. The woman who had to erase herself to survive. Not once did Taejun interrupt. Not once did he look away. When she finished, her voice was barely a whisper. "Sometimes I think I died in that prison and only my body walked out." For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he stepped closer. Close enough that she could feel the warmth of his breath. "You didn't die," he said softly. "You survived something most people wouldn't. And anyone who hurt you will answer for it." Amara blinked fast, trying not to cry. "Why do you care?" He breathed out slowly, almost like a confession. "Because the moment I heard your voice, something in me settled. Like I'd finally found someone I wasn't meant to lose." Her heart twisted. "Taejun, who are you really?" He hesitated, not in fear, but in respect. "You already know," he said finally. Amara held his gaze. "You're in the underworld." His lips twitched. "And you're not Park Jae-won or Lee Sora." Her breath caught. "I knew from the first day," he continued. "Your eyes carry too much pain for a simple name. I've spent my life reading people." She felt exposed. Seen. Yet safe. "My real name," she whispered, "is Amara Okafor." "I know," he said gently. "And it changes nothing. Not how I see you. Not what I want." Her voice shook. "What do you want, Taejun?" He stepped even closer, lifting her chin with one careful finger. "You," he said. "Just you." Amara's world went still. Her heartbeat thumped loudly in her ears. She searched his eyes for deception. For danger. For a lie. Instead, she found something terrifyingly real. "Let me help you destroy the man who destroyed you," Taejun said. "Let me stand where Min-jae failed." Amara felt her walls crumble slowly, painfully, beautifully. "Okay," she whispered. "Help me." And with that simple word, their fates locked into place. Love. Vengeance. Truth. It had all begun. What happens when the man you loved becomes the target of your revenge? Amara never imagined she would ask herself that question. Never imagined she would answer it. Never imagined she would feel peace doing it. But now, standing beside Taejun in a dimly lit rooftop lounge overlooking Seoul, she felt a strange calm settle over her. Like she had finally stepped into the life she was meant to live. Rain misted the glass. City lights flickered like restless stars. Taejun stood behind her, his warm presence steady, grounding, unshakable. "Are you sure you're ready?" he asked softly. Amara didn't look at him. She watched the city instead. The city that once crushed her. The city she was about to reclaim. "Yes," she said. "I'm done being the victim." Taejun's fingers brushed hers, slow and deliberate. "Good," he said. "Because tonight we begin." Min-jae didn't know the trap was already tightening. Amara and Taejun's plan was elegant, patient, and deadly. Like silk hiding a blade. Taejun introduced Amara, using her new identity, as a mysterious investor from overseas with access to a deal so lucrative that even someone as cautious as Min-jae couldn't ignore it. A deal that offered him a chance to rebuild his collapsing empire. A deal he would walk straight into blindly. When they arranged the first meeting, Amara's heartbeat pounded so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. The restaurant was dark, private. Min-jae walked in wearing his signature black suit. Sharp. Powerful. Arrogant. He didn't recognize her. Not immediately. Amara had cut her hair. Worn subtle makeup. Changed her accent. Changed her posture. Changed everything. She was not the trembling woman who took the fall for him. She was a woman wearing her own rebirth like armor. Min-jae sat, relaxed. "You must be the investor," he said, extending his hand. Amara didn't touch it. "Let's talk numbers," she replied coolly. Taejun watched from across the room, pretending to be a silent observer. When in truth, he was memorizing every flicker of Amara's expression. If Min-jae saw the truth in her eyes, he would run. But he didn't. Because guilt doesn't look back. Cowards never expect consequences. The plan moved smoothly. Too smoothly. Over the next 2 months, Amara and Taejun sabotaged his exports, redirected his accounts, leaked rumors of betrayal among his allies, and planted strategic whispers through Seoul's underworld. Min-jae's foundation cracked. His trusted men abandoned him. Deals collapsed. Enemies circled. And Amara? She watched quietly. The way you watch a storm finally drown the man who taught you to fear thunder. One night, Min-jae stormed into their arranged meeting room, furious, desperate, trembling. "Sora," he said, staring at Amara. "I need more time. Another loan. More credit. Everything is falling apart." Amara folded her hands calmly. "That sounds like your problem." Min-jae slammed his fist against the table. "Listen to me. If I lose everything, I lose my life." Her lips lifted into a small, icy smile. "What makes you think your life matters to me?" He froze. Her voice. Her eyes. Her tone. It hit him. The blood drained from his face. "A.M. Amara?" She leaned back slightly. "Hello, Min-jae." He stumbled backward. No. No. You're supposed to be gone. Forgotten, she finished. Replaced. He swallowed hard. Amara, listen. I made mistakes. I wasn't myself back then. You have to stop talking. A cold voice cut in. Taejun stepped forward. With one look, Min-jae realized who Taejun truly was. Why Amara felt untouchable. Why she never flinched. You, Min-jae whispered. You're Taejun. The ghost of Gangnam. The man everyone fears. Taejun's jaw flexed. And you're the man who abandoned the woman I love. Min-jae staggered back, panic flooding his eyes. Love? No. She's mine. She always. Taejun's voice sharpened like a blade. She was never yours. She was your shield. Your sacrifice. Your convenience. Amara stood up slowly, walking to Min-jae with calm, measured steps. You said you'd stand beside me, she said softly. Do you remember that night in the rain? He trembled. I panicked. I was scared. And I paid the price, Regina said. Min-jae stopped inches from him, her eyes cold and bright. You stole my life, she whispered. Now I'm stealing yours. At that moment, police sirens wailed outside. Min-jae spun toward the door. Amara, you wouldn't. You couldn't. But she stepped back toward Taejun, and he placed his hand on her waist protectively. I set you up, she said. I made you broke. I tore your empire apart. I wanted you to feel helpless the way I felt. The police burst in. Min-jae's face collapsed. Amara, please, he screamed as officers pinned him down. She didn't flinch. Taejun didn't blink. Min-jae's voice cracked as they dragged him away. You loved me. You loved me. Amara closed her eyes, then opened them. No, she said softly. I loved who I thought you were. The door slammed. Silence filled the room. Taejun stepped behind her and wrapped his arms gently around her trembling shoulders. It's over, he whispered. Amara exhaled long and broken, leaning into him. For the first time, she said, I feel free. Taejun kissed the top of her head. Good. Because now your life finally begins. After Min-jae's arrest, Seoul felt like a battlefield Amara no longer belonged to. Every street corner echoed with memories she wanted to forget. The accident. The betrayal. The loneliness. The prison years that carved scars she couldn't hide. Taejun saw it before she even said a word. We're leaving, he told her the night Min-jae was taken. No arguments. Amara didn't argue. They left Seoul under a quiet dawn. No luggage. No goodbyes. No shadows chasing them. Taejun drove south until the city lights melted into mountains and the air smelled like a world untouched by sin. They settled in a small coastal town near Busan, where no one recognized them. Amara worked part-time at a flower shop. Taejun helped a local fisherman repair boats to avoid attention. Their lives became simple. Stripped of danger. Stripped of lies. But their love? Their love grew dangerously deep. Every morning, Taejun waited outside the flower shop just to walk her home. You look happier today, he would say. She would smile shyly. Maybe it's because of you. He always pretended not to blush. But he did. At night, they cooked together in their tiny rented room. Burning rice. laughing, bumping into each other. Taejun would wipe flour off her cheek with the gentle touch of a man who had once only known violence. Sometimes she woke up gasping in the middle of the night, trapped in old nightmares. Handcuffs. Cold prison walls. Minji's voice. Taejun would pull her into his chest, warm and steady. "You're safe," he whispered. "I'm here. I'll always be here." And Amara believed him. For the first time, love didn't demand sacrifice. It offered safety. Months passed. Their new life felt like stolen paradise. But Taejun knew they couldn't hide forever. One evening, he sat beside her on the beach, watching the waves crash against the shore. "It's time," he said quietly. Amara frowned. "For what?" "To go back. To reclaim your real name. Your real life. Not as a victim or a fugitive, but as a woman who survived." Amara looked at the dark sea, thinking of Seoul. The place that broke her and healed her. "Are you sure?" she asked softly. Taejun took her hand. "If we run forever, the past wins. I won't let that happen. I want our future to be clean. Yours most of all." His eyes held no fear. Only love. Steady. Brave. Real. "Okay," she whispered. "Let's go back." Seoul welcomed them with winter. Snowflakes floated gently from the sky, covering the roads like soft white ash. Amara walked beside Taejun through the city that once swallowed her whole. She wasn't the same woman who entered prison 5 years ago. She wasn't the woman who cried outside her old apartment door. She wasn't the woman who hid behind fake names. She was Amara Okafor. Reborn. Taejun stopped suddenly in the middle of Gwanghwamun Square. Snow drifted down, resting on his dark hair. He turned to her with an intensity that made her breath tremble. "Amara," he said, voice thick with emotion. "Do you remember the first night we met?" "How could I forget?" she whispered. "You returned my phone," he said. "But what you really returned was a part of me I didn't know I'd lost." Her eyes softened. "Taejun." He took a slow, deep breath, then lowered himself to one knee. Amara froze. The world went silent. In his hand was a simple silver ring. Nothing flashy, but beautiful in its sincerity. "I can't erase your past," he said, voice shaking. "But I can protect your future. I don't want to be the man who saves you. I want to be the man who stands beside you. Through everything. Through forever." Her eyes filled with tears. "Amara Okafor," he whispered. "Will you marry me?" Snowflakes melted on her cheeks like warm tears. Her heart, once broken, felt whole again. Solid. Strong. Alive. "Yes," she breathed. "Yes, Taejun. I'll marry you." He rose, pulling her into his arms as snow swirled around them like blessings from the sky. Their lips met. Soft. Slow. The kind of kiss that rewrites destinies. In that moment, under the falling snow, Amara realized something powerful. Revenge had freed her. But love? Love had finally saved her. We've reached the conclusion of our compelling African-Korean story. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories that prove love can heal the deepest wounds. Share this with someone who needs to believe in second chances. Your support means everything to me. Drop a comment below and let us know what you think happened to Min Jae after his arrest. Let us know. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.